Hello everyone and welcome to Meeple Leaf Reviews. My name is Jeffrey.
And I am Jacob.
And today we're going to be doing a comparison video of City of Iron 1st Edition versus 2nd Edition. We'll take a look at what's different, maybe some different components, a little bit of different gameplay mechanisms, and then we'll come back and just give a little bit of a final thoughts on what we think of the overall changes.
Alright, let's take a look and see what the differences are.
Here we have the two main boards for the game. This is the 2nd Edition one, which is much smaller than the original 1st Edition. There's a couple differences. The initiative track for bidding goes from bidding for last to first place, and it has a wide range. Whereas in the new edition, there's fewer spaces, and there's even a space where you can gain a coin for bidding. There's also a round tracker, so in the 2nd Edition, there's only 7 rounds, where in the 1st Edition, it was based on how quickly the deck ran out. Let's take a closer look at each of the different goods tracks and compare the differences between the two. Alright, so I've rearranged the boards a little bit so we can take a closer look at the goods track. Here's the 1st Edition where the goods track is a vertical lines for each good, whereas in the 2nd Edition they go around circular. Also, you'll notice with the 1st Edition they just came with plain cubes, whereas in the 2nd Edition each faction has its own shape. So you can see there's circles for the red, a little shield for the blue, a triangle for green, and a little yellow house for the yellow. Another difference to notice is there's a couple changes to the point values. Here in the 1st Edition they're 3 and 1 for salt and octopus, whereas they're 3 and 2 in the 2nd Edition. Also, they removed the bonus points for the ore and gossamer that you get when you have a certain number of the goods. Also, in the 1st Edition, each player received 3 action markers, which they flipped after each of their actions that they took. Whereas in the 2nd Edition, there's a communal action track that moves along as the game progresses. Alright, let's take a look at the player boards. This is the 2nd Edition. It's made of a flimsier type of cardboard and is also only one-sided. However, in the 1st Edition, it was much sturdier and double-sided as well. In the 2nd Edition, you can see they have all the basic actions that you can take printed on the player board, whereas in the 1st Edition, it came with a reference card for what the basic actions were. There's also a little bit of difference in the cards that you get as well. The player cards have the faction symbol on the back that matches the player board. However, in the 1st Edition, it's just denoted by a letter in the top and isn't mentioned anywhere on the player board here. Next, let's take a look at a couple of the differences in the lands that you can travel to, the endgame scoring, as well as the different districts that you can build. As you can see, between 2nd and 1st Edition, the land districts that you can build are very similar. However, one notable difference is the capital district can actually be upgraded into an imperial district, which gives you a point every time you score, as well as drawing 2 citizen cards instead of 1, and an increased population of 8. Now, there's a couple differences with the land and the endgame scoring. In the 1st Edition, everyone had the opportunity to score each of the different categories. However, in 2nd Edition, to score bonus points at the end, you need to travel to the different lands. So here's a starting one, which gives you points for having the most expert cards in your deck. However, some of the lands that you can travel to can give you points for having 2 or more academies here, as well as 4 or more buildings here. And there's a whole load of different ones that you can score at the end of the game. Finally, let's compare the graphic design changes for the different cards in the game. So over here we have 2nd Edition versus 1st Edition. Let's look at the expert cards. Here is the cost for acquiring the card, and it's separated from its actual ability, whereas in the 1st Edition the cost to acquire as well as its ability were in the same area. You'll also notice that the symbols that it provides are much cleaner and crisper versus the ones that are up in the corner from 1st Edition. There's some standardized symbols for free actions, reactions, or main actions up in the top, as well as what the actual ability is. Take a look at the building cards. Here you can see in 2nd Edition they have a +1 coin in the top right hand corner. That reminds you that you gain an additional income whenever you get a building that has good cards. It's not present in the 1st Edition, and it's a rule that we commonly forgot when playing. Also, for the Academy, you can also see that there's an eyeball symbol. It's a scouting ability that gives you the ability to attack town cards further down in the deck when making an attack, which isn't present in the first edition at all. There's a couple differences, as the Academy requires actually a land type, which it didn't in the first edition. And lastly, the different town cards themselves. You'll also notice they have the reminder that they provide a 1 coin income as well for the card. And there's a couple differences in the actual symbols. Here you can see the attack is actually a gun versus it being a D in the first edition, as well as the distance is just a little more colorful than in first edition. Other than that, they remain pretty much unchanged. Alright, Jacob, what do you think overall of the differences between first and second edition of City of Iron?
Well, I've been a little bit torn. There's things I like, there's things I don't. The incorporation of those points being on the destination cards that you or the destinations that you travel to or explore, I really like that implementation over the cards.
Yeah.
That where everyone was just viable for that. The tokens in second edition, while I think they look kind of cool, they're a little clunky and they fit on those little tiny circles a little bit weird. It's cluttered when everyone's all in the same circle.
Yeah, I think that's probably my only complaint
Yeah.
in the second edition. I don't like the circles as much as just the straight up and down tracks from the first edition. And the pieces, like you said, they just get a bit clunky as you're moving them around the circle. Everything else I like. I like the art update. I like the graphic design update on all the cards. I like the little tweaks that were done to some of the cards as well. So overall, I'm really happy with second edition. It's just that one little thing of the circular tracks. There just isn't enough space.
Exactly.
Is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah. Other than that, I think I like second edition. I might pick it up at some point. I like the changes that they made for the most part. I'm just a little torn as to whether I want to or not just yet.
Yeah.
Maybe eventually, if I find it for a good deal, I'll definitely pick it up. But right now, at premium price, I don't know, since I have first edition already.
Yeah, I'm definitely really excited for, like I said in the review, I'm definitely excited for the expansion to come out
Yeah.
for the second edition. I think that's just going to push the game way over the edge. It does come with one of the components of the expansion, the Steam bots.
That's right, they
So that-
incorporated it into the core game in this one.
Exactly, so you do get a little taste of the expansion with the base game. But other than that, I really like it, and I'm looking forward to playing it a lot.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up for me on this one. If you're interested in City of Iron at all and you don't have either, you definitely want to pick up second edition.
Alright, see you guys next time.